This weekend, the weekend of January 20th, marked the first government shutdown of the Trump presidency. Now, the Republicans are blaming the Democrats are blaming the Republicans. There's a lot being thrown around about the Democrat minority leader, Chuck Schumer. There's a lot being thrown around about Trump, and it's really hard to understand sometimes what's going on with all of this politically charged rhetoric being thrown around. So I thought that we'd look at this in kind of a bipartisan fashion, recognizing the fallacies of both parties and the cause of this government shutdown as relating to both of the parties and their desires and why the government shut down. So first, I think it's important to explain in a very basic and general way why the government shuts down and what happens when it does shut down. So basically, what happens to cause a government shutdown is when Congress fails to pass a new government funding law before the old one expires, the government has no funding and it shuts down. So what happened in this specific situation is that the Republicans had promised the Democrats to fund DACA, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which basically means people who arrived in this country illegally as children and didn't really have a say in what was happening, to them or in their lives at that point in time would be able to, stay in this country instead of being deported. And it was kind of a path for them to get education, to get, a proper footing, to have a path to citizenship and to be able to function as, a human being in American society instead of either being deported or having to hide in the shadows. This gave them the ability to function. So DACA and illegal immigration in general has been a huge point of disagreement for Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are obviously a lot more harsh on immigration. They want to crack down on illegal immigration. I'm sure that you've heard of Trump's border wall. He wants to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. He wants to crack down on illegal immigration and illegal immigrants who are already in this country, where Democrats are a little less harsh. Obviously, they're not supporting illegal immigration, but they often believe that immigrants who've already come to this country should be provided a pathway to functioning as a normal human being in this country and even a pathway to citizenship. And they're also not as harsh with their immigration beliefs. They don't believe that there should be a wall, a border wall between America and Mexico. They're a little less harsh, and they believe that the immigration laws that we already have are strong enough and actually are very restrictive, and that we don't need to reform them further because that would just be punitive to a lot of immigrants who are trying to enter this country. The government shutdown ended on Sunday night when Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, made an offer to the Democrats to continue funding the government for about 2.5 weeks, and saying that if there wasn't a deal reached about DACA by then, that there would be immigration bills passed after. And Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer agreed to this and said that they would like to continue with their aims for DACA. So if this government shutdown wasn't that big of a deal, then why are we even talking about it? It ended in 2 days. A lot of people weren't even working those 2 days. It was the weekend. A lot of people are still getting their full week paychecks. Well, here's why it's important. The Republicans and Democrats only made a deal to fund the government for the next 2.5 weeks. And what could happen after these 2.5 weeks is a lot more important, because that's not a long time. And in 2.5 weeks' time, we could see another government shutdown, and here's why. The Democrats actually have a lot more political leverage than they did before. They were asking for 2 things: DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and CHIP, which is the Children's Health Insurance Program. Now, there's actually a deal made about CHIP to continue it for 6 more years. So now the Democrats are only asking for one thing: DACA, which gives them a lot more political leverage when they're only asking for one specific thing. But the Republicans are vehemently against it. A lot of them have come out against funding it, and even President Donald Trump is very, very intensely anti-immigration, as we've seen in recent memory when he said very specific expletives about certain countries and why he doesn't want people immigrating from them because he described them a certain way. So we don't really know what's going to happen after these 2.5 weeks, and that's why this is a big deal. Will the Democrats win this time? Will they be the one proposing a deal? Or will the Republicans hold strong against DACA? We don't know. And that's why we're going to have to wait these 2.5 weeks to see what is going to occur and whether our government is going to shut down 2.5 weeks after the first shutdown of the Trump presidency. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, just ask down below. And if you have any ideas for more videos, I'd love to hear them. Thanks.